Okay, we are recording. No time limit today. We caved in. We upgraded to Zoom, and here we go. So welcome to episode 4 of Ramblings with Reeses. The fact we've done this for 4 weeks in a row now I'm very proud of ourselves.
Pretty crazy
I
that
know.
we've been this committed.
I know. It kind of feels good a little bit, like a whole month of putting out episodes. I talked to Jeff today and he said, "Hey, are you and Brady going to be doing a new episode soon?" And I said, "Yeah, we actually have one that we're uploading today, so you'll see it." So I'm talking about the one that I uploaded earlier today.
Oh yeah, the
Uh,
one where we just say Showtix sponsor us.
yeah, so speaking of sponsors, for all of your online ticketing needs, go to showtix.com or
Showtix for you. That's
showtix4u.com.
show SHOW for the number 4, and then Tix is TIX. Showtix for you. No, I don't know. Showtix, whatever.
Showtix4u.com. If you go there and mention our name, you will get no discount, but you'll still get a great product. So,
And like you'll be helping out the show and family members of the show.
so if we ever did a live event, which would never happen because I mean, I don't know if we could even fill up like
A room
a
of
room
20 people.
of 20 people. But if we did fill up a room of 20 people, that online ticketing we would use would be Showtix for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's get into it. So, episode 4, Rambling with the Reeses. We're back. How you been?
Should we talk about how we're going to how we've been?
We can talk about whatever we
I
want.
was thinking let's just go into House of the Dragon. We haven't really talked about House of the Dragon.
Yeah,
There's
we
three
ended last time talking about it, so it's a good way to get going. Yeah.
House of the Dragon. There's 3 episodes out right now.
Have you seen all
You
3?
I've seen all 3. Have you seen all 3?
I have, yes.
Okay, so let's start with your overall thoughts with these first 3 episodes.
Overall, I've really enjoyed the first 3 episodes.
Tell me why.
So, to me, the first 3 episodes go back to what made Game of Thrones great, right? Where there's intrigue, there's political intrigue, where you're kind of what's happening, who are the players, and what's their overall end goal. The one thing that this does a little bit more than Game of Thrones, like, for how many seasons did we not realize that Littlefinger was the puppet master, right? Where you kind of feel like the hand is the puppet master, you can kind of see it. So I feel as if a lot of the intrigue is more out in the open, that we as an audience can see who's trying to pull the strings, but the king doesn't quite
Right.
see
I
it.
mean, the king isn't really that smart.
I don't know. I just think he's more romantic in the sense of he has this
Right.
ideal of what it should be, and that's not
Right.
what it is.
He's really bad at politicking,
Yeah.
is what I would say.
So
That's what I mean by not very smart,
we've
I should say.
got intrigue, which I really enjoy. You've got these different characters and their dynamics and their relationships, and it's the height of the Targaryen power, which is also really interesting because during Game of Thrones, everyone's kind of fighting for the Iron Throne, where here no one's really fighting over it because they know the Targaryens have it, right?
Right.
So it's more everyone's vying for their own position underneath them, whereas in the Game of Thrones, everyone's fighting for the actual throne. So it's just kind of a different. People are still fighting for the throne because of children and different things and marriages.
Right. Because of politicking,
Yeah,
not so much like open houses openly fighting against each other.
yeah. And then so you got that political intrigue, and then on top of that, you also have really great battles, right? In episode 3, I feel like we finally got some really good action scenes
With the
where
dragons,
with
I
the
would say.
dragons, without the dragons, all of it was just really kind of interesting. and you got to see what battles might be like when one force has dragons, and you think, oh, you're automatically going to win. You have these dragons, and you see that there are ways that these other people defended against it. So, yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. That's my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
See, I've also enjoyed it. I thought episode 3 was the worst episode of the ones
Why?
released so far. I felt like it was really slow, like super slow, until like the last 10, 15 minutes when you follow Damon and like the sea snake and
I
then the whole battle, which you just said. The reason
I
why I don't think it's bad, to be clear, I don't think it's bad. It reminded me a lot of episode 2 of Game of Thrones, where they're like traveling to King's Landing in episode 2, the King's Road episode, where that one also feels slow. But then and honestly, that in the Game of Thrones, nothing really happens in that episode until Ned kills one of the direwolves, Sansa's direwolf. In this one, I mean, obviously there was some action here, and obviously not every episode needs action to be good. It felt like all the intrigue with Viserys, Rhaenyra, and the stuff going on at court this episode was really long-winded to get to where you like. I just felt like I knew obviously it would go to there. Rhaenyra is going to be able to choose her own husband type thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I agree with you in the sense that, to me, during this whole episode, as I'm watching it, it was really slow for most of it. And I remember thinking probably about halfway through, like, is this ending? And if it ends on this, is this all that's gonna happen? Right.
Right? Yeah.
And it did end stronger, which was really good. But there was, yeah, I would say 3/4 of it was pretty slow and long-winded. And to be honest, I'm still not emotionally attached to
Yeah. To
any of the
anyone.
characters.
Yeah.
I really don't care about any of them. You know,
Yeah.
none of them are that compelling personally for me that I'm really
Right.
invested in their own success or failure. I honestly think the one that I'm most compelled is Damon,
Yeah, I
right?
agree. I think
And
he's the most interesting character
yeah,
of all the characters in the show. He's the most non one dimensional.
and I want to like Ray, what's the princess's?
Rhaenyra.
I want to like Rhaenyra, but I just don't.
Yeah,
You know what I
she
mean?
plays like this last episode. She played like this self pity party. She's still the heir,
And she's still the
like
princess. She still
still the
has tons of
princess.
power. And it's been 3 years
Right,
since the last episode, 2, 3 years. So what have you been doing the last two
right,
years?
exactly. Like you've done nothing to like shore
Nothing.
up your own power.
You've
Really,
literally not
like
grown. She hasn't grown at all. It's been 2, 3 years. She hasn't grown. Then all of a sudden, in one episode, in 2 days,
yep,
she grows a ton. And
exactly.
so that's my only thing with her. Whereas Damon is a really interesting character. Uh, some spoiler right here. So I'm gonna give a little spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, skip ahead a couple minutes. But when he gets the letter from his brother, right, that they're sending ships, and he's just like, you're not gonna win this battle for me. Like, I'm not gonna be second fiddle again. And it was just a really interesting dynamic where he's like, I'm going for it. We're gonna
See, I think this is the best episode with Damon, and he speaks no words in the entire episode. No, not a single word is uttered. I thought it was awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I thought it was like really, it showed how great of like a warrior he is too, that he
Yeah.
just goes by himself. Like his is great. I thought it was,
Yeah.
again, it ended really strong.
Yeah.
I think the show is I think the show is good. I would still give it like a 7, 7.5. It's probably getting closer to an 8 the longer sorry, excuse me, the longer it goes. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend it. It to me, it's again, I love the Game of Thrones universe. We've talked about this. We like the universe, we like the shows.
Yep, totally.
So it's been fun that we're back in the universe again, and it's been a fun show so far, and I'm
Yeah,
excited to see where it goes.
I also just think again, we talked about this before last week too. It's good that there's a definitive end on like that's already done, right?
Yeah.
That the showrunners are going to be confined into this is a self-contained story. So that's
Yep,
good.
exactly. And I do think that that'll be a good thing. I do think it's kind of interesting that this hasn't really happened besides in the very first episode, but if you watch the previews for the next episodes, we'll see what happens, but they keep referencing the prophecy, right? This
I
prince being
know.
born. And to me, I don't really enjoy that because again, that prince is Jon Snow. And what did he
It
do?
makes you think of this. It makes you think of the Game of Thrones show, and like it's pointless. The
Yeah,
prophecy's done.
it really makes me feel super disappointed in Game of Thrones
Right.
and the way it ends. So I haven't liked anytime they've referenced that. And so far they haven't really done it except for the one time and then in this preview for the next episode. So we'll
Yep.
see. But that is one thing that I haven't liked is
Yeah, especially
it
because
just
like
puts a sour taste in
the
my mouth
White
because it was
Walker
so
threat
bad.
is so far away from where they are currently. Like it just doesn't. Yeah,
And it really
doesn't matter.
was a pretty anticlimactic threat, right? Like
Yeah, totally.
so, but
We,
anyway.
yeah, we don't need to talk about that
So
again.
that's our House of Dragon take.
I
Obviously, we're
want to
gonna keep
also
watching it.
mention the Rings of Power,
Okay,
Lord of the
Rings of
Rings show.
Power. Don't give any
You've not.
spoilers. I
I
haven't
won't
seen
give
it,
any spoilers.
and let me explain why I haven't seen it yet. I haven't watched it. Alex and I are going to be watching it, but I can only take so many waiting every week for a new episode. I want to wait till all the episodes are out, and then I will watch and binge Rings of Power. Right.
Right.
So I'm going to watch it. I'm excited to watch it, but I want to watch it either all at one time or at least wait for the first 4 episodes to be out so then I can watch those as the last 4 are coming out. Okay, but tell
Right.
me your takes.
So, Charlotte and I are now watching it together.
Okay.
She likes the show so far. The first 2 episodes she enjoyed. I thought the first episode was fine. I don't think it was like egregiously terrible or bad. It felt a little long to me, but it's fine. I felt like the second episode was way worse than the first episode.
Why?
And I can't, I'm not going to spoil anything. The reason I felt it was worse, again, Charlotte's totally fine. She likes the show. The big reason why I just think the show's not really meant for me. Like, because I like the Lord of the Rings, like history and like the lore and
Mm-hmm.
how it feels to me watching the show. There's things about it where they're taking like really big. They're not creative liberties. They're just changes to the lore,
Got it. So
and they're
sorry, keep going.
and like the show seems to be condensing thousands of years of history into like a really short time frame at this point, and it's just rubbing me the wrong way. There's nothing that like the show is visually really impressive. It looks great. The acting is even good. Like I don't have a problem with any of the actors or anything like this. It's all my problems with the show have to do with the writing and just like the direction in which the show seems to be going. But like I can only judge it so much because there's only it's only 2 episodes. I would give it right now. I'd give like a 5.5 or a 6. It's fine.
Oh, that
I
low.
don't think it's bad. Yeah, but it's not like the worst show ever.
Yeah. But it kind of goes back. This is, I guess, how Amazon's been a little disappointing. I'm not into as much of the Lord of the Rings lore. I've read all the books, right? Love the
Right.
books, love the movies. Not being into the lore besides the books, do you think I'm gonna enjoy it more than you're
Yeah, I
enjoying it?
think I think you'll enjoy it because you just don't know more.
Yeah,
You don't know as much about the history of Middle Earth
yeah.
as I do. And to be fair, there's a lot like the time period in which the show is set. It's like the what we know about the history of Middle Earth from what Tolkien wrote, right?
Mhm.
Is pretty sparse. It's just like long gaps of stuff. So they have like liberties they can take to make the show. But there's certain things that they have changed that they shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want to again, I don't want to spoil it, but I just yeah, that's
Okay, so we'll do some spoilers once I've caught up
right.
on it, and, I'm excited to see, yeah, more. It's always fun with someone like you or anyone that's really into the lore of whatever the book is. like we talked about already with Wheel of Time, right? That's
Right.
how I was. And so okay. But it's
I
kind of
think
fun. It's
most people would like the show.
yeah. It
As
is
far as
fun
like,
that they're coming
yeah,
out with good fantasy shows right now because for that's such a challenging genre because of the effects needed to create good fantasy.
right. It's the second episode I think is also worse than the first. It's way slower than the first episode. Like the second episode literally felt like, man, this is forever long. And there's some things about like that I've been reading online about criticisms, like like there's a black elf in the show. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, like elves can be whatever color. Like if people legitimately have a problem with there being a black elf in the show, just get over it. Okay, it's
Yeah.
like it does not matter. Like
Yeah.
right, and then
It's a
like
fantasy
there's a
world. It
lot.
doesn't matter.
It's a fantasy world. Like it doesn't matter. Elves can be whatever. They could be blue. You know, like
Yeah.
their elves aren't real. So and like there's other things that I was scared of about the show with like I thought it'd be really like have like really woke politics in it.
Hmm.
But that's far like nothing. Like so that's been nice for me watching the show where it is just pure fantasy.
Yeah.
Like and that's great. Like
Yeah, that is
there's
great.
not like does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so anyone who watches the show and has a problem with skin color of elves or other characters, like just get over it. It's not a big deal. Okay,
That's
it's not a
funny.
real world, so
It's
just
fake.
let them do.
It's a
It's
fantasy.
fake, right?
That is always funny when yeah. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah. Moving on. I think you would like the show
I'm
personally.
excited to watch it. Like I said, I'm excited to watch it. I don't want to Netflix really ruined me.
For
And
like
it's
binging,
really hard for me to want to wait every week for episodes, right? And
right?
there are certain shows that I will do it, and there are certain shows that I will start and wait and watch. But I'm just gonna be patient and wait till it's all out. Like me watching it now versus me watching it in 2 months, right? I'm
Right,
still gonna have to wait forever for the next season,
right. Yep.
right? So it's not a difference maker for me there.
So
But
the last show I want to mention, and we can get off TV shows,
that's
is The
okay.
Bear.
Yeah.
So Shaw and I watched the first two episodes of The Bear.
Okay.
I talked to Charlotte. I was like, "Hey, I've been watching The Bear. I think you would really like the show."
You
And
think
then
she
she's
would
like,
like
"Well,"
it?
and then so she's like, "Well, stop watching it." So we're gonna stop watching it. So I've now rewatched the first two episodes with Charlotte,
Okay. Does she
and
like
like
it?
she does like it. Just every episode, she feels so depressed at
Yeah,
the end of
it's
the
like
episode.
heavy and it's like there's a lot of language in the show.
Yeah, what's funny about this show? I think it's great. I really like it. Like it. I think Hulu is. I don't know what they did, but the fact they on Hulu it says comedy. There's nothing funny about the bear. Like there's like everything that happens in the bear is so serious and everyone's so high strung and just constantly yelling at each other. It's like what's supposed to be funny about this? Like does that make sense?
I think it's some of the banter back and forth between the cousin and him is
Yeah,
supposed to be like a
between because
comedy.
and Carmi. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
But
it's not funny.
no, it's super intense and that's my only it's really cool, but that's my only thing about that show is how intense can a sandwich shop really be?
I know, really
Right?
be.
Like we're in this random sandwich shop and we're going all out, right?
Oh
This
yeah,
is life
totally.
or death. This is we are making the best sandwiches, the best things. And I'm thinking I've never even been to a sandwich shop that I have thought, ooh, this is, you know, the
This is the greatest sandwich on earth.
yeah. And it's I haven't seen it all yet. I'm about halfway
See,
through it.
yeah, I've only
But
seen the
there's
first two episodes.
characters like one really loves baking, right? And he wants to get into baking.
Marcus.
And I'm thinking about this sandwich shop and how again, I am not in that world. I'm wondering how many people that work at a sandwich shop are like, I'm gonna become a professional baker, and that's gonna be my
Right.
thing now. Like
Yep.
awesome, it's great, but super super random.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, I want to
I
know.
like it.
I want to
It's
talk to
intense.
someone that's that works or has worked in that type of store, right? Not
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
talking about an elite kitchen, right? Where he
So
comes from.
just a standalone
Mom and pop
restaurant. Just
restaurant.
that's it.
That's it, right? And not even a full-on restaurant that's open all the time. It's literally open during lunch hours, right? Isn't
Right,
that
exactly. It's
it's
open 11 to 9 is when they're open.
okay, they're open 11 to 9. Got it. So 11 to 9 they're open. And I want to
See, this is
know.
like, did you ever watch Kitchen Nightmares?
No,
Gordon Ramsay. It's
no.
like Kitchen Nightmares, but Gordon Ramsay's gone. It's
Uh-huh.
like that's how it feels.
Yeah.
But Kitchen Nightmares is so clearly over dramatized. Like pretty much Gordon Ramsay going to like these failing restaurants and just yelling at them for 30 minutes to get their crap together. It's
Yeah.
funny. I like it. But this is like the Bears like Kitchen Nightmares without Gordon Ramsay. And I
Yeah.
like it. It's good.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to start watching it more then, because I stopped I got to episode I think 5, and then I just stopped. We just started watching other things, and
Right.
because Alex didn't really like it that much, and so I'm gonna have to finish it. I'll finish it when Alex is working one night. I'll spend the night watching it all.
Just like watch all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what we haven't talked about? This is getting off of TV now, going into sports. We haven't talked about the Donovan Mitchell trade.
Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan
We're
Mitchell.
we are on different sides of actually because you don't like that we traded Donovan Mitchell.
It's not that I don't like that we traded Donovan Mitchell. It just stinks being a Jazz fan. And we kind of mentioned this before. And from what I was reading, it was funny on like a bunch of ESPN articles. Who are the biggest losers? And a lot of them were saying Jazz fans.
Jazz fans. Jazz
Jazz
fans
fans are the biggest losers,
like your
right?
team's gonna suck this year.
Yeah, and
Like
that's what stinks about it is we went from being a contender team, and I say contender being realistically Western Conference Finals, and if we could get our crap together, making a run, right? We
oh,
never could.
we
We
told
never.
like the talent was there
Yeah, we
for
never
sure to
did.
make a run.
We never utilized it. We never maximized it. Okay, I get that it was time to make some changes. Again, it had been 3 years. We didn't do anything, right? We kept losing in the playoffs, so changes need to happen. But it just stinks that we went from being a contender, right? Being talked about to now sucking, right? And
Right.
now
Yeah.
why are you gonna watch the games? Who are you gonna want to watch? Right?
See,
Who are you
part
want
of
to
me's
go and see?
hoping that tickets go so cheap now because right now it's like $100 to get like a nosebleed seat to a
Yeah.
Jazz game. So I'm hoping that like no one goes. Tickets like are at least half price.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hope. And then I don't know. It's,
You just got to get
what's
some season tickets, Brady. You got to get
yeah,
some season
exactly.
tickets. You and Mike
Well,
need to
I,
go and get some.
well, I'm thinking is so in the '90s, the Spurs were a good team. Then Tim Duncan was good. He was a senior, and the year he was going to be in the draft, Greg Popovich. It's his first year as coach of the Spurs, and the Spurs tank that year to try and get the number one pick in the draft. Right, and so the number one pick, what ended up being Tim Duncan. The Spurs got it.
Mm-hmm.
They tanked 1 year, got Tim Duncan, and what happened? The Spurs literally in Tim Duncan's entire career, they were a 50-win team. His entire career, like
Yeah.
they were legitimate like championship contenders his entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what everyone's saying about this Victor Wembanyama. I can't even pronounce it. Some French guy, like
Yeah.
7'5" or something. This French kid. Um, and so he'll probably be the number one pick. And so like the Jazz have a legitimate shot of being the worst team and landing a number one spot to get him. Just so purported generational talent. Who knows, right? And like you never know. Like
Yeah. You never know.
he could be great, or he could be like Tim Duncan, where the Spurs were great forever, and so the Jazz could be great forever. You know,
Yeah. Or
or
he
he could
could
be
be
a
a
giant
bust.
bust. Yep, and
And
that's just
that's
how it
that's
goes.
what's hard about being a Jazz fan right now is when all you have are these draft picks. You just don't know. It's a flip of
Yep,
the coin. You just don't know. And that's like I said, that's what's disappointing and sad to me is that it just kind of stinks to be a Jazz fan.
yep,
Um,
I agree.
I I haven't watched as much NBA basketball in the last year. Like last year, I didn't watch it a ton,
Right,
and it was the first year in a long time I haven't. It's just been less compelling. I've
right.
just cared less about it, which is
See,
funny.
I only watched a few regular season Jazz games. Like I couldn't watch very many because I don't have a all the Jazz games are region locked.
Yeah,
So you have to have like
so
AT&T
stupid.
Sportsnet. So dumb. The only ones that aren't are they're like they had like 9 nationally televised games or something last year. So I watched all of those. And then I watched the entire playoffs. I
Yeah,
watched almost every playoff game. Not just the Jazz, just all the NBA playoffs.
yeah,
And so that's honestly my like my sports now is most of the time I won't watch regular season games in like any sport very often. Only if I literally have like nothing else to watch
yeah.
or do, then I will watch the playoffs. Because the playoffs are exciting, Playoffs actually have stakes.
They are exciting. They do have stakes. Again, it's just I've just been less compelled by.
See, this is the problem with all professional sports though, is I feel except for football, every professional sports season I feel is too long. Like baseball, you and I love baseball,
Mhm.
right? Baseball's awesome. This is the last month, September. We're now in September. It's the final month of the regular season. But the regular season starts in like freaking like March, right?
Yeah,
Or April. I don't know.
April. It's April.
But it's like it's so long. 180 games is a ton of games. I don't even, I think it's like 182 games, right? Let's see.
162.
What it's too long.
I'm pretty.
I
I'm
don't
I'm saying that. Yeah, I forget because again, it's just a lot.
there's just so many. And so like baseball's baseball's interesting, obviously, because you really do need that larger sample size because baseball is a different sport, obviously, right? Where you like but the better team could lose multiple games in a row just because like someone got cold, but they definitely are the better team, right?
Hmm.
That's why I think like in baseball, 7 game series make the most sense in the playoffs because that's like a large enough sample size. And
Hmm.
that's why like in regular season when you with your division like in your division you play a full 7 game series again like
Yeah,
it's just I still think that like it's at least 20 games too long like
it's pretty long.
like
I think that I think what should happen, and you would know more about this than me. I think that isn't it European soccer where they basically have playoffs in the middle of the season,
they do, yeah, it's European soccer.
and I don't necessarily. I think that a lot of American sports that could make the regular season much more exciting. What do I mean by that? Imagine if baseball. Imagine if the first 100 games of the regular season, right, and the last 62 games, right, are this tournament for the last 10 spots, right? And so every game matters. It's this. It's kind of you're playing to make it to the playoffs, right? In
Right,
specific tournament fashion,
right,
right? Where and I don't even know how that would work, right? How you could do it, but it would be really cool if what it was is again 3 game series, but if the first 100 games, all 30 teams get seeded for the American League and National League, and you start doing like a 3 game series, and everyone plays until you get your seed. Like, so I am the 30th worst team, right? You
right.
lost. You lost the whole league. You were the worst team, and you're the best team, And so the last 62 games are just this huge thing, this huge tournament where you keep losing. You're still playing, but now you're playing all the losers, right?
Right.
And you can even motivate it where like bonuses, right? So the last team doesn't get the first pick, right?
Yeah.
So maybe like
I I'm a fan of the worst team not getting the first
so
pick
so
because
maybe
it incentivizes teams to be bad.
yeah, so maybe what it comes down to is the worst two teams when they're playing each other for that final, like the worst of the worst or the best of the worst game, they're
The
playing for
winner
first
gets
pick.
the yeah, the
Yeah.
winner
The
gets the
winner
first
gets
pick.
first pick. And so now it's like
Yeah.
exciting. Everyone's watching that game.
Who's gonna get the first pick?
Who's going to get
Right.
the first pick, right? But it's after this like whole length of tournament that's already happened, right? And
Right.
that then maybe that game is the last game pre playoffs, right? So now you know
Yeah.
who the first pick is. I just think that there's ways where you could make it more exciting where it's still part of the regular season because they're not going to make it into the playoffs anyways, but the games matter more,
Right.
And I think the same thing with basketball, where I think it would be more enjoyable if it's not the worst team wins or even the lottery, right? The lottery is really interesting and kind of just like you tank, but you still don't know if
Yeah,
you're gonna
you
get the
you
first
have like
pick,
if
right?
you're the worst team, you have like a 33% chance
Yeah.
of getting the number one pick.
I think it would be really fun if they took the worst 8 teams and they did a
Tournament,
they
and the
did a
winner for
tournament.
sure gets the first pick.
Yeah, so they took the worst 8 teams, and then in this
That's
tournament,
where you fall determines what
that's
your
your
pick
first
order.
8 picks, right? That's who it is. So you're like,
Yeah,
you're
I think
going
that's great.
all in for this tournament because you want the first pick, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
how fun would that be,
That'd be
right?
awesome.
That would be
It gives
amazing.
like it gives these crappy teams like fans incentive to actually watch their crappy team.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I really want
And
this
maybe
number
it's
one
only
pick, so I'm playing
the
it.
worst 4 teams, right?
Right,
So the
yeah.
worst 4 teams have a 4-team playoff
Right.
for the first 4 picks, right? And how fun would that be though? Like that would be so fun.
Yeah,
Because
I
again,
agree. That'd be awesome.
now it matters. And that I think that's what's fun about March Madness
Right.
is even these teams, these underdogs, you care about every game because you never know what's going to happen and every game
Yeah.
has meaning, right? And that's fun. And I think that professional sports lack that a lot for a lot of the professional sports.
Yeah. I think the the other thing baseball needs to do really like most professional sports need to do this. Well, the ones on my mind is just baseball. Is the AL and L is great. I like that there's two leagues, just like the Eastern Conference, Western Conference in basketball, or AFC, NFC in football, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that like having you win your division, that's great, and then I like having wild card teams, but at the same time, I still feel like seeding. What if you're in the playoffs? You should just be seeded by record. Like like the
Yeah.
one seed should just be the best record. The two seed should be the second best record. Like how last year, the
Yeah.
Giants, how the Giants and the Dodgers played each other in the divisional round in the playoffs. That's a 5 game series for them, and like those were the two best teams in baseball last year. They had the best records in the league, and they only got a 5 game series because they were in the same division. The Giants won the division, and the Dodgers were the wild card team, 1 game behind them.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you win your division, so there's 5 playoff spots for each league, right?
Right.
So the 3 division winners and the 2 wild cards. So you have these 5 teams, and I agree where the 2 wild card teams aren't guaranteed to play each other. Those 5 are guaranteed to make the playoffs, but the 2 worst records. So if my division was a weak division and I was the worst record, like you're saying, now I'm playing in that wild card game,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So I still was guaranteed there might be a team with a better record than me that didn't make the playoffs because they were in a division with 3 really good
Different
teams.
division. Right.
Yeah. And
That's
that's
fine.
fine. That's
I'm okay
fine.
with that.
But I have the worst record, so I should be playing in that wild card game and the rest is in seeded out. I could get behind that. Uh yeah.
I
And
just think
again, I
baseball is such a long season. Incentivize team if you're going to keep the season really long. Incentivize teams to actually win the most games possible. Does that make sense? Like,
well,
because
my issue with baseball is it's long. One thing I love about baseball is I love how competitive playoffs are, right?
right,
So these
exactly.
teams that are fighting for these 2 wild card spots, right? Like winning your division in baseball matters so much more than
Yeah,
any other
totally.
sport, right?
Yep.
Because in basketball, I just need to be top 8 in my conference. That's all that matters, right? My division doesn't really matter. Top 8 in my conference, that's what matters, right?
Well, it matters a lot in football
Yeah,
because, like, for
football does
example,
matter, but still I would say less than baseball, right?
yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and because with football, you've got your 3 divisions in each league, right?
Right.
And
So with
then
football, they do seeding based on record
yeah,
afterwards.
but I'm trying to think how many wild card isn't it 3 wild cards per
Yeah,
division as well?
per the three wild card cards per league. So there's
Per league,
three
yeah.
in the AFC and three in the NFC.
And so it's basically really if you're the top 2 in your division, you have a pretty good shot of making the playoffs,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And now obviously that can change, and I'm okay with that too. Like maybe baseball does something more like that, right?
Similar.
Where
I
they
think baseball following football's model would be a great first step.
yeah,
Where in football the number one seed gets a bye.
yeah,
I think that's great. Like
yeah.
if you're the best team in the league, you should deserve like an extra week of rest,
So,
right?
but I still think though with baseball, I think it's awesome because it's competitive. These games matter and these swings happen, and teams get hot and stuff. But like you said, it gets a lot, and really the last month is what really matters, right?
Yep,
I say it
exactly.
matters. All the games matter because all of a sudden you're only one game out and you didn't do it, and you lost that random game in April, and now it stinks,
Yep.
right? But it would be much more enjoyable if not just the top 10 teams because there's 20 other teams, right?
Right.
So what about those other 20 teams? I think that's as a small market fan, right, for the Jazz, I think that's one thing that we care about is we want a reason to root for our small market teams when they're
Right.
not competing for a championship. We still want to have something to cheer about.
It's cheer for. Yep.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I don't know how many. I don't know how many Jazz games I'll be watching this year. Probably not very many. But yeah, I'm glad that we traded Donovan Mitchell. This all started based on us talking about Donovan Mitchell being traded.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about the whole process is reading about how he got traded to the Cavaliers and how the report is that the Knicks never got to make a counteroffer. That the Jazz were just like the Jazz got the offer from the Cavs. They worked it out and they just okay, we're doing the Cavs and the Knicks heard the same time that everyone else did. I love that because like the Knicks could have had Donovan Mitchell the entire summer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, but they never gave the Jazz what they wanted.
Yeah.
So it's like I
Uh,
think it's so
talk
funny.
about being a Nick fan. That would stink too,
I know. At
right?
least the Jazz have had like some good regular season success
Yeah,
in
we've
like
we've
recent
had
years.
something to care about, but
I know. So I
all
think
right.
I think some big market teams are pretty overrated though. But
I agree with you
like the
100%.
Knicks and like
I don't even know how
the
the Knicks are still relevant ever
I
because
know.
they're New
Like
York.
that's the only reason.
Yeah, they're in New York, but whatever, whatever. Um,
How have you
this is
been?
good. This is good talk. You know what we haven't talked about yet, and maybe on Wednesday we'll have to talk about this. Is we still haven't done our list of our top shows.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we still need to do that. But yeah, I'm excited to watch. You know what we've been watching? We've been watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which is a great mind-numbing show while you're editing photos. And we
Right.
just recently released our new website, Alex and me, right? Alex and myself. So that's
Yes.
what we've been watching is we've been like editing photos, prepping everything, getting everything ready. But now that we're done, now that the website's released, it's kind of I need something else. And one thing that I've been getting into, talking about sports, and my brother-in-law got me into this, Braden, Formula One.
Yeah, F1.
Okay.
You've talked
And
about this.
it's crazy, dude. And so I've been watching, and I wish I want Alex to get more into it because we started watching the Netflix series together, but she's just not as into it as obviously I am.
Right.
But there are only 20 drivers in the whole world, right? So
That are
for
Formula
F1,
drivers.
F1, like racing is a competitive sport. There's only 20 drivers in the whole entire world, right? Not
Right,
just like
yeah.
in the country, like in the world. And they're doing these races, and I think now there's going to be 23 races. I think for this year, there's 23 races starting
Okay.
next year. Normally it's 21 races a season, but now they're bumping it up to 23. I need to know more. I still don't know everything, but like it's so much of the drama, like the reality TV show of the drivers and the teams and the races. It's pretty cool. So I've been watching Drive to Survive on Netflix and
Okay.
I've been getting into it. It's kind of fun. And it makes me want to get a new car and drive fast.
Right.
And that's been the hard thing for me is do I want a truck or do I want an electric car? You know, it's like
Yeah,
truck or
dude.
electric car, and they're both super useful. They're both amazing, but I don't know which one
Dude,
I want.
I have no idea. Honestly, I for me lately, I think I would go with a truck.
Why?
I think that the utility that a truck offers is just way more useful than what an electric car would offer.
Yeah.
That's why.
No, and I agree with you. Like, for example, I had to rent a Home Depot truck the other day, right, to pick up flooring
Right.
for one of our houses. And they didn't have enough flooring. We talked about this, right, last episode. They didn't have enough
Right.
flooring. And so I had to go and pick up another flooring. And luckily it was a little enough amount of flooring where I was able to fit in the car, right?
Right.
Without ruining my suspension or anything like that.
Yeah.
But if I had a truck, it wouldn't even matter, right?
Yeah.
So I start on the back of the truck, it's fine. And that is so nice. Knowing, oh, I need to go to the store and grab this thing and
Yeah.
it
I have
can
a truck, so
fit,
it's gonna be fine.
right? And especially as I do more stuff with real estate, not having a truck sometimes can be a pain. Because I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Go
so
for it. I think if you got a new car, you should get a truck.
yeah, I'm not gonna get a new car for a while, but I do think I
Yeah.
am gonna sell my Hyundai.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna get rid of it. My coolant, we talked about this last time too. My coolant or my air conditioning, I don't know if it's just out of coolant or if I need to replace the coils, whatever. I don't even know
It's just
what
out.
is
How
going
many
on.
miles are on
Something
your Hyundai?
a lot, 180,000.
Got it. That's a lot.
Yeah, so it's a lot of miles. I think it's time to just move on from it. But it's also like the worst, right?
Yeah. Getting a new car sucks. Sometimes I'll check every week, actually, not sometimes. I'll check the America First repos.
Uh-huh.
And like this last week, there was like a truck they had for $40,000. I was like, I wish I could buy that.
What type of truck
So
was it?
there's a Chevy. I'm actually pulling it up right now. Let's see. I'm sure it's still up because Labor Day.
Do you
They're
want to
gonna
share?
replace
Do you
it.
want to share your screen so we can see it?
Yeah, give me one sec.
Okay, so we've got the Chevy Colorado.
Yeah. So there's this buy now. So I'll check the America First Repo website literally every week, every Monday.
Yeah.
They swap it out. So yeah, saw this. I mean, this isn't like super egregious, but it's still a lot of money.
Yeah, that's still a pretty good APR, honestly. At
Yeah, for
3.24.
yeah, for this is a newer truck. This only has
What year is
22,000
it?
miles. It's a
2020?
2020.
Yeah, I was looking at the mileage. That mileage is pretty good. The price seemed a little high when I was looking at it, but then I looked at the mileage and that's pretty. What interior features do you have? Because the Colorado is like, think of it kind of as the Ranger for the Ford. So
Got it.
it's not the F-150, it's not the Silverado. It's going to be smaller, so you're not going to have the same type of towing
Right.
capacity.
So
But for
this does
you, that
not
doesn't really
show
matter.
everything. Yeah, this doesn't show everything. Like I like this truck didn't like I don't want this truck. This didn't look uh like something I would buy. But I mean, just check America First repos every so often.
Dude, every time I see that though, it just makes me want to buy a truck. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just want to buy a truck.
Yep.
So I need to book a couple more weddings so we can buy a
Just a
truck.
just a few more. Just a few
Just a
more
few
weddings.
more, weddings.
Right.
Get ourselves a truck. Everyone, or in 2 days we're gonna record again. We're gonna have our list, and I'm
Yes.
sure we're gonna have some adventures to talk about because I feel like it's funny. Jeff was like, every time I talk to you, Tyler, you have some form of adventure that's happening. And so next time maybe I'll tell you about what's been happening as we've been trying to rent out one of our houses, right? And
Right.
just dealing with that, which has been fun. But
See, we didn't even get to talk about how Jacob was in town this weekend.
oh, we got so
So,
much to talk about then on
so
Wednesday.
yeah, we didn't even talk about what I did with Jacob and Matt, or that we hung out with a different couple on Friday. It was an exciting week for us.
Awesome. Well, until next time, everyone, thanks for hanging out with us. See ya.